Okay, the right equipment. Abby says the right equipment is this book.
Boy, that is true.
If you start with this equipment, and you'll actually understand virtually everything, particularly if you start at the beginning.
Well, I really tried to do that. I tried to assume that the person reading this had never even touched a computer and bring them all the way through the who's, the what's, the how to buy it, the how to set it up, and then email and shopping online and all of that afterwards.
I do radio shows too, so every day I go to a radio station, and there at the radio station, and I'm sure probably here too, you have the Mac group over here.
The Hatfields.
Right, and
the
McCoys.
McCoys.
Right over here with the PCs. And they're constantly trying to convert one another.
I know.
So what does Abby say?
Which is better? I'll tell you, without getting into which is a better machine.
No, which is better to start with?
Well, it's really not about which is better. It's who are you going to call on a Sunday afternoon when you have a problem with your new computer. If your son has a Mac, buy a Mac. If it's your aunt you're going to call and she has a PC, buy a PC. Truth is, it's like a marriage. You think you can only get used to the first spouse until you have the second, and then you figure out, oh, look,
Wait, Abby, is this in here, by the way, biographically? Does this have anything to do with
No,
multiple marriages?
I'm actually single, so I'm just doing that from supposition. But the truth is, when you choose to buy the PC or the Mac, you are not going to notice a difference between the two. If you're heavily into graphic design or photography, people may say to you, you really want to get a Mac. That's really if you're a professional in that field. For you and I, as general citizens, either computer will work perfectly fine for us. It's really who are you going to be asking for help.
Which is easier?
Which is, you know, the user-friendly thing, I think the Mac is sexier. I think there are many parts of the Mac that are more fun. From a usability point of view, there's some real issues with the Mac. For me, I have a lot of students that have Parkinson's and arthritis, and some issues with using the mouse and the Mac when the window suddenly isn't activated anymore becomes a problem. So I actually don't believe one is more user-friendly than the other. I do believe, if you're talking about the inner workings, the Mac machine is a better made machine as far as its innovation, but they both can serve exactly the same purpose for most people. So it really is, who are you going to call for help? If your son is the person you're going to call and he has a Mac, for heaven's sake, get a Mac. If you're changing from a Mac to a PC, you want to take into consideration it's going to be expensive because what software you had for your PC, you're going to have to replace for your Mac. So it's going to cost several $100s more than instead of buying a PC.
My PC guy says, however, that one of the biggest differences is that there's this much software for PCs and far less for
Absolutely. So if most of us just use word processing and the internet, but if you're going to be using AutoCAD, you're an architect or something, you're going to want to make sure that the software that you need is available on the Mac for you, where it might only be available on the PC.
You know, at the beginning of the show, I congratulated a couple of police departments. One of them who seemingly found this college student from Boston University, who's everybody's buddy, a terrific student, about to be married, and they have tracked this guy and apparently have nailed him with the Craigslist murder and assaults and robberies. Let's talk about safety and security for the technophobes and the boomers.
Okay, in the same way, if you visited New York City for the first time and you happened to turn onto 48th and 10th and you got a funny feeling saying, oh, I'm not sure I should be here, you'd turn around and leave. The same thing is true on the internet. So you want to be sure that if you're visiting a website, you're searching for something and you get a funny, I'm not sure I should be here, leave. The same thing is true if you're communicating online. The trouble is we're not seeing each other. My instincts tell me you're a good guy. But online, you could be telling me that you're a 14-year-old high school student, my same age, wanting to be friends with me. If you can't see the person's face, to really make eye contact, always be cautious that the person you're communicating with may not be who they say they are. So you want to go to, a lot of people use chat rooms in websites or forums or even with Twitter and things like with Facebook. You can't be sure that you know exactly who that person is. So what do you never tell somebody? You never tell somebody your home phone number. I never use my last name because it's easy to find me online if I give out my last name. But as far as real security, it has nothing to do with the computer. It's your social security number. That is the identity theft. That is the key to identity theft. The reason computers make it worse is people can then put your number out more places. But the fact is, get it out of your wallet. If it's on your Medicare card or your insurance card, call them and have them reissue a different 9-digit number. So it actually, identity theft, which most people blame on the computer, has nothing to do with the computer.
Boy, that is information that is so valuable. I, at work, get these things every once in a while, and all of a sudden I'm looking at my emails, and it said, find out what your credit rating is.
Throw it away.
But at the time, I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. And, you know, and it says, boom, instantly, right?
Right.
And it started asking me some biographical questions, got to the Social Security number. And fortunately, I'd had enough Abbeys around to say, no way, and cancel that.
When you're the first line of the defense with your email, when we talk about viruses, if you receive an email from somebody and you don't recognize the email address, or the subject isn't specific to you and it has a little paperclip for an attachment, don't even open the email. If it's from a friend and they didn't make it understandable by their subject, sorry, you won't have opened the email, but you protected yourself.
And if it says, my name is Bambi, do you want to know me better? Probably.
Well, you might want to answer that one.
Not to make acquaintances. Abby Stokes is going to be at Changing Hands tonight at 7 o'clock, helping us learn. Yes, all of us, no matter how crafty you are around the whole world of technology, you'll learn something from Abby tonight at 7 in Tempe.